Welcome, everyone, to Sloan Cold Facts. This is our first ever in-studio episode. We started Sloan Cold Facts during the pandemic. In 2020, we did a bunch of IG Live interviews with a lot of coaches and grassroots basketball figures and sports athletes and different members of the media. This is our first ever in-studio podcast, in-studio episode, the very first one. I'm getting ready to pour my nice beverage. I'm a Malbec guy with a red wine. Get the party started. And today we have a very, 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 very special guest. I'm going to give him his flowers. That's what we do on the Sloan Cold Facts podcast. We give guys flowers. And the guy on today's episode, the very first episode, is a guy who's been in grassroots basketball for 30 years. He's had over 120 players sign Division I scholarships. He's had 6 guys get drafted to NBA, 2 lottery picks, NBA All-Stars. He's had 14 guys be college All-Americans, 1 Player of the Year nationally, 3 Conference Players of the Year. He's a mentor. He's a father figure. He's been in the community here in Houston for a very long time. If you guys don't know who I'm talking about, it's the one and only, the incomparable John Eurey, a.k.a. the Godfather. We're going to give it up for John Eurey.
What's up?
John Eurey, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. First and foremost, let me thank you for appearing on the show. We really appreciate it. I appreciate it. Our relationship goes back to when I was 16 years old. Just a quick story about Coach Eurey before I get into his Twitter rant from this week. But I met John Eurey when I was 16 years old. He had this basketball tournament in the spring at Yates High School. And my high school team, Eisenhower High School, we played in it, and we played against this Houston Superstar team that was loaded. And they had T.J. Ford, Daniel Ewing, Corey Valson, Ronnie Davis from Beaumont Central High School. It was a loaded group, and we had our local high school team. And so we ended up playing them close at Yates. And after the game, their coach kind of runs up to us, to me and one of my teammates, Floyd McLean. He was like, "You guys are going to be Houston superstars." And we're like, "Yo, who is this dude?" And after we were like, "Yo, this is John Eurey." And so then we were already on another team, the Houston Jaguars, a Nike team here in the city of Houston. And Eurey was like, "If you guys come and play with the Houston superstars, it'll change your life." And so my teammate, Floyd McLean, he left the next week to join Eurey's team, but I needed a little bit more convincing. So that next weekend, Eurey and his team had a tournament. They played actually in the Kingwood Classic hosted by Hal Pastner. And so my parents and I went to the game, and we sat behind the bench in the stands. And during the game, Eurey turned around and screamed, "Marcus Sloan, you need to be with the Houston Superstars. This is where you need to be. I could make you a star." And I had never had a coach be that boisterous or talk like that to me. And you know, it made me feel special. And long story short, everything Coach John Eurey did, or everything he said he would do, he did. He changed my life. He helped me, play in front of hundreds of college coaches. I got invited to the prestigious Adidas ABCD camp, big-time national tournaments. Everything he said he would do for me as a player, as a person, he did, and he definitely changed my life. So I want to give him his flowers first and foremost. Coach, thank you. I've told him that privately.
Appreciate you.
I wanted to say that to him publicly. Now, Coach, we're going to get right into it. Early this week, probably 2 days ago, the ESPN national rankings came out, and you were pretty loud on Twitter, as you usually are. You kind of voiced your opinion about it. And in one of the tweets, you said this. You said, "Don't be scared now, Paul being Cardi with your no evaluating self has gotten your hype. You name the time and place, and we show up and whip all of y'all." Yeah, I said it. My name is John Eurey, a.k.a. the Godfather. Eurey, kind of talk about your feelings this week about the rankings and just about the national ESPN rankings.
Well, the thing about it started last year when with PJ Haggerty. I went up to Paul Biancardi. I think he was in my hotel too. And I asked him, I said, "Why you ain't ranking PJ Haggerty?" I said, "We've been killing everybody." Mm-hmm. And so he said, "We're going to come see you play." So we were in, I believe, we were in Atlanta. And when he came to the game, not only did P.J. Haggerty score probably maybe 35, and he hit the game winner in overtime. And so he still didn't write nothing about P.J. And it kind of made me mad. I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. That dude put on a Herculean performance today, and you're not talking about him. You know, primarily, you know, because it wasn't at a 3 stripes or a Nike tournament or something like that. So I just lost respect for him. I just, you know, because first of all, he's been in the basketball business a long time. So have I. And let me correct you. I have well over 375 players that's on Division I.
Excuse me.
And also,
Get me together. There you go. Talk that talk.
And also, too, I've sent 8 guys to the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the first person in the country to have 2 McDonald's All-Americans from the same high school team.
Talk that talk.
Plus, nobody gave me credit for Jimmy Butler, too. Nobody gave me credit, but remember,
we're gonna touch on that later
Jimmy
too.
Butler away.
We're gonna touch on that.
Nobody wanted Jimmy. Nobody, you know, and that's why Jimmy has the chip on his shoulder, because A&M didn't want him. Nobody wanted him, but he was on. We won the Gasso that year. Plus, we were in the consolation bracket at Hal's tournament with all them coaches. We won that too, and we beat some really good teams. So, I mean, you know, and I understand why Jimmy has that chip. But, no, back to Paul Biancardi. So, he comes out with his ranking. A lot of times he gets this information from people who give him information. He don't really go out and watch players. And all I said was, you know, you don't know what you're talking about. And this one I got to kind of give, you know, I understood, you know, Marcus, that you were pushing Zion Pipkins. I get it. Zion Pipkins is a good player. Okay, no problem about that. You know, he's basically a north side guy, and I know you guys, Eisenhower, y'all kind of look out for them guys on that side of town. And I'm good with that.
But now, in fairness to Zion, he is a good player. And so
I didn't say he wasn't a good player. I didn't never say he wasn't a good player. I think Zion is a really good player. Not a good player. He's a really good player. But all I said, but see, my thing, Marcus, I think rankings should be based off performance. I give you a prime example. Why shouldn't kids like Marlon Lowe's son be ranked higher when he killed the number 1 player in the country? I just think if basketball is a game, you got to prove. You can't go out and politic basketball. That's the beauty of it. And the thing about it is that if the game is a beautiful game and it's based off raw talent, give people their flowers when they earn it. That's all I'm saying. And so when we played against Zion didn't score on us at the U of H Elite Camp. And Jared Harris put on a show.
Now, hold on. Let me cut you off really quick. So just going back to some of your Twitter, I would say, antics, rants, a lot of people, Eurey, have issues with when you're on social media, when you compare your players to their players, or when you compare your players to other players, saying that this kid isn't that good, and like it rubs some people the wrong way. So like I'm going to give you a chance to.
I don't directly try to kill nobody's kid, because I'm not trying to. First of all, I'm a Houston kid, and you know that, Marcus. I'm for Houston kids. So Zion Pipkins, whoever, I'm for them. I'm trying to help them. But for kids like Jared Harris, who has earned it, who played well, let's understand the fact. Jared Harris led his team to the state tournament, which is hard to do. Number one. Number two.
Jared Harris at Silsbee High School. He's a class of 2024 junior guard, one of the better.
Jared Harris led his high school team to the state tournament. They lost to Faith and Family. That's number one. Number two, we played in the circuit league. We won everything at the circuit league. We played in Buff's event. He was the leading scorer at that. We played in the Gasso. We won that. He played for his high school TABC. He played well in that. I mean, then we go to Atlanta. He played well in there. We went 6-1. I mean, what more do you got to do? All I'm saying is that he has proven it on the court. We have in politics. I don't want to give nobody no flowers if they don't earn it. And you know how I am, Marcus. Am I going to fight for my players? Absolutely. Did I fight for Marcus Sloan? Absolutely. Did I fight for TJ Ford? Absolutely. Because they play for me. And their parents, I gave these parents my word. And if I give a parent my word, I'm going to stick by it. You entrust me with your child, I'm going to trust you and do the best I can to get your son to college. And that has been my mantra for 30 years.
Now, Eurey, hold on real quick. So do you think that with the way you fight for your kids, AAA in social, AKA on social media, in public, do you feel as though it may, I'm not going to use the word intimidate, but it may kind of turn some people off the way you fight for your kids, whereas you think you're fighting for your kids, but other people think Eurey's being over the top, he's doing too much. Do you think that hurts your kids in the long run with national evaluators?
I don't think it hurts my kids, Marcus, because, with everything, Marcus, people need a voice. Sometimes people do things the right way, like a Jared Harris. You don't see Jared Harris going, beating, stealing TVs and all that. You don't see all that. He's a great kid. Just like I fought for Von Coleman, who transfers to Crosby, and the UIL declares him ineligible, and now he's up at Harcum College in Philly because everybody kicked him to the curb, but not John Eurey. I didn't kick him to the curb. I said, come join my team, and I'm gonna help you grow. And now he's in college for free. I took a Darrell from Elkins High School, has never been eligible at Elkins High School. And you know what? He called me yesterday. He's at Southern Arkansas Junior College. I fight for kids who can't fight for themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. If the kid is dedicated to come play for me, I'm going to fight for him because I'm going to give them my all. I'm not going to give them half John Eurey. I'm going to give them the whole John Eurey. And the thing about it is, everything I've been saying is truthful. I ain't said nothing that's a lie. I haven't said nothing that, criticize. No, I'm telling the truth, and they know it. And just like I said this also. I said AAU has divided African Americans.
You did. Let's touch on that. Let's touch on that. I'm
one of them.
What do you mean by AAU has divided us? You mean like as a culture divided us against each other?
The little bit of money I got from Sonny, the little bit of money on these shoes, and I appreciate what Sonny did for me. But the thing about it is, it gives me a false sense of, okay, I don't need to deal with people. I mean, and sometimes it makes you arrogant. It makes you, immature in terms of, because let me tell you something. At the end of the day, when I look in the mirror, I'm an African American. And the thing about first of all, I'm an educated African American. And the thing about it is that highly educated, mind you. But the thing about it is trying to create this soft sense of, I can't talk to this guy because he's a Nike guy. No, and I'm responsible for that. And I think that that's wrong. I think that I got caught up in that too. And so the thing about it is, I said, instead of us working together to build a dynasty and quit cutting each other down and kicking each other, forget all these shoe contracts. I hate you. I don't like you because of this stripe, because of this swoosh. Forget all that, man. We are all African Americans, and we are all helping kids, and we should all find a happy medium where we can help everybody else. And if we can do that, there's so many African American kids that's going to get help. Now, are we going to help some white kids too? Because some white kids going to join us because they know to get recruited, you got to go play with them brothers over there. They know that. So the thing about it is, and we don't have a problem with that because, you play with Richard Law. Richard Law is like a son to me. And the thing about it is, he was the only white kid on our team. And what did he do? What did he do?
Scholarship, South Alabama.
He sat on the bench the whole year.
He did, yeah.
And he wasn't ready. And I told Richard, Richard, when your chance comes, you're going to be a starter. What happened? He started for me all year. What happened? He go to college for free at South Alabama. So I did my job. So what I told his father and his mother, I accomplished my goal. So the thing about it is, I'm just for my kids, Marcus. But if a parent takes enough courage to send their kid to my program, I'm going to do the best I can to help their kids go to college.
I tell people all the time, Eurey, really. Oh, go ahead.
And Twitter is a mechanism. Sometimes I gotta be bold. Sometimes I gotta, because and I'm gonna tell you this too. Just a couple years ago, they talk about this Dallas, Houston. I get it. Where Duncanville wins state championship every year. Heck, they got the greatest recruiting advantage in the country. They got Duncanville Fieldhouse in Duncanville, and all the tournaments are played in Duncanville. So now, on top of that, is Peavy a great coach? Is he my dude? Absolutely. But the thing about it, he has the greatest recruiting advantage of any high school coach in the country.
And so
on top of that, he has no high schools in his district but one.
And so you feel like the kids in Houston or Houston basketball period is superior or is as good as
absolutely superior to Dallas. Absolutely. First of all, Houston's bigger than Dallas. And the thing about it, they had the 5 McDonald's All-Americans, but let's examine the facts, Marcus. Okay, they had 5 All-Americans. I can tell you what. I know one thing. I had one kid that gave one of the McDonald's All-Americans 43. And I had one kid on my team that gave one of the McDonald's All-Americans 38. And like I told Peavy, what is 38 to you? What is 43 to you? What is it? Do you know how many kids have done that? Do you realize? And see, let me tell you something, Marcus. People don't realize the greatness of P.J. Haggerty. It is a treasure to see P.J. Haggerty. We go to games knowing he's scoring 40. How many high school kids can do that? But people, instead of them embracing and saying, man, I love to go see PJ, they fight against Eurey. It ain't about Eurey. It's about P.J. Haggerty. And that's what it's about. And that's what I keep trying to tell people. I'm going to fight for P.J. because nobody was giving him his props. Just like I told Blue, the first time I saw P.J. Haggerty, the first time, when he played against Lamar at the Pasadena tournament. Do you realize he had 47? And so I asked Blue, a writer with Gasso, well, that's just okay. Huh? How many kids can score 47 against a 6'18"? 47. So I am going to treasure Houston kids. If it's a kid that's doing well, I'm going to give him his flowers. I'm going to do the best I can from afar. And a lot of these kids, Zion Pipkin is one of them. I write great things about Zion Pipkin in my scouting report. He don't know that, but I do. So, because I think he's a really good player. I just don't think he's better than Jared Hass.
No, hold on.
I don't think he's better, but he's a good player.
Let's kind of go back to the beginning. You said you've been in this for 30 years, and you put over 300 kids in college. When did you start coaching grassroots basketball?
1987.
Here in Houston?
Yeah.
And you are TSU Texas Southern University graduate and grad school. And so you started coaching grassroots basketball here in Houston in 1987. Mm-hmm. And so in your eyes, when did it turn for you to where you were able to get a strong enough team to get an Adidas deal? Kind of talk about John Eurey and the Adidas family, the Adidas connection, how you met Sonny Vaccaro.
Well, I had Grayson Averill at Springwood. Mm-hmm. I think Grayson Averill.
What year is this?
Me and what year was that? I had on that team. I had Joe Branch, who's now agent. He left the Minnesota Timberwolves. Joe Branch. I had Joe Branch, Grayson Averill. I had Nosel Basahan, who went to Pacific.
Is that Derek Basahan's brother?
Yeah, I think okay. I had Charlie, who went to Southern. I had Dante Randall, Player of the Year from Milby. Mm-hmm. I had Damon Jones, who's in the NBA right now. He was on that team. I had what's Chris' name? He was All-American out there and football player out there in not Channel, one of them schools out there. He went to Colorado and played football. I had him. Mm-hmm. I had a really good team. I had a really, really good team. And all of them, every one of them kids went to college. Every single one of them.
From that group, you were able to get the Adidas deal. Like, talk about meeting Sonny Vaccaro and how you got started with Adidas.
Well, when Grayson came back from Howard Garfinkel's camp,
5-star.
Howard Garfinkel, the late, great Howard Garfinkel called me and said, a man named Sonny Vaccaro is going to call you in 5 minutes. Grayson Averill is a big-time player. The guy named Sonny is going to call you. 5 minutes later, Sonny called me, and Sonny said, "Hey, I'm gonna make you the dude in Houston," and he did. And the next thing you know, he sent me 100 pair of shoes.
And what year is
Maybe
this?
100.
You remember?
Oh, you would ask me that. I can't. 88. It was the sophomore year or junior year for Joe Brandt. I can't think of that year.
Okay.
But he was at Kincaid at the time. But it was that year. And that's when we got all our equipment. And that's when we went to Ypsilanti, Michigan, when I saw Randy Livingston tear up his knee.
And so from there, you built up the Houston Superstars to where you became
And
arguably one of the –
I'm going to tell you this too, Marcus. Let me tell you this too. All the tournaments that I did, you know how many officials, all these, you know, these officials that are in Houston right now that are really good officials? I employed all them officials. Back Hayes, all of them. I took care of all of them. I gave them the games to now some of them officials are the best officials in the country.
Well, Eurey, hold on. We're going to get to that. Just give me the one. So now you built up this Houston Superstars program. You guys, Son sent you the shoes. When did the turning point for you where they were like, hey, now John Eurey, Houston Superstars, you're on the contract. We're going to give you money and gear. And then
when I got Daniel Ewing, my first teaching job was at Missouri City Middle.
Okay.
I walked into my classroom and I asked everybody in class who's the best basketball player in this school. Everybody said Daniel Ewing. At the bell rung, Daniel Ewing's walking down the hallway. I looked at him and I told him, "You're going to play for me." He said, "Talk to my dad." I went and talked to his dad. I started training him. You know, then I met Daryl Shelton.
And this is Daniel Ewing, former Duke guard, former LA Clipper guard, played in Europe 10-plus years. Keep going.
And then he
met
so
Daryl
I started
Shepard.
training. So Daryl Shelton had a team. He had Alton Ford and his son Brian Shelton, and so I put they were in a tournament, and they were getting ready. So Daryl comes to me, he's like, "John, we getting ready to lose this game." I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "We're playing against the great T.J. Ford and Carlos Hurt." He said, "They're the best two guards in the country." This is 8th grade now.
Now,
said,
Eurey, is this a middle school game or is this an AAU game?
This is an AAU game.
Okay.
It was like a high school game because as good as Carlos and TJ were. So I said, don't worry about them. I'm gonna give you somebody that's gonna beat them. And I gave him Dan Ewing, and Dan Ewing put on the show. He had 25 and a win against them. We beat him in the championship. So after that, that's when Pop Ford called me.
And Pop Ford is
at his house.
TJ Ford's dad.
And he said, "I need to talk to you." And he asked me, you know, can his son be on my team? And I said, absolutely. And the rest is history. And we had probably one of the greatest runs of AAU. And then, you know, come Marcus. Then come Floyd McClain. Then comes Ronnie. Then comes, you know, Richard Law. Then comes Corey Valson. Then comes, and, you know, we just had so many good players. And everybody that played on my team went D1.
And
everybody.
So I'm going to paint
Ronnie. Ronnie went junior college because he didn't have a grade.
I'm going to paint a picture real quick. I'm going to paint a picture for the audience. So this is the summer of 1999.
Yes.
I joined the Houston Superstars. They have TJ Ford. They have Daniel Ewing. They have Kenny Taylor, Corey Valson, Ronnie Davis, all these dudes. And, again, like I said in the beginning.
John Lucas Jr., too.
John Eurey, the coach, he tells my father, rest his soul, that I'm going to take care of your son. He's going to go to ABCD camp. We're going to travel all over the country to play in these big national events. Mind you, my parents were super green. Eurey mentioned we're from the north side. I said this on Twitter the other day. There weren't many opportunities for guys on the north side of Houston to play AAU and go to all these big events. Meeting John Eurey, that was kind of my opportunity. He told my father and my mother that I'm going to do X, Y, Z for your son. We're going to go all these places, going to go to all these camps. And mind you, I was just getting into basketball. ABCD was almost a pipe dream to me. I saw it in Slam magazine and I read about it on the message boards, and it was this mythical camp. And Eurey says, "I'm going to take you there." And so my first year at ABCD camp, it was the summer of 1999. We were all going into our junior year, and it was like something out of a movie. It was the best players in America. It was 200 plus coaches there, all type of national media. And John Eurey really, before we left, he told us, he was like, you guys are some of the best kids in the country, go prove it. And that's what we did. I mean, it was guys that camp, obviously, the Houston guys. It was guys like Brandon Bender, Kevin Tolbert at Michigan State, Robert Whaley, Rick Rickard, Avery Queen, Andre Barrett. I mean, camp was loaded. And John Eurey got us there just playing for the Houston Superstars. And so at that camp, ironically, Kobe Bryant, who had started ABCD camp maybe 4 years prior, was one of the guest speakers. Sonny Vaccaro brought him on. And after Kobe spoke, for us as campers, we were amazed that Kobe spoke. And so it just kind of made me look at John Eurey differently. Like, man, this dude has so much like power. And like, during the camp, he's taking pictures this is John Eurey, taking pictures with Sonny Vaccaro, talking with Sonny giving him a hug and kisses and, talking about us. And in my mind, I was like, yo, this dude, John Eurey, like, this is crazy. He did everything he said he would do. And he put us on this platform and put us on this pedestal. And so for us and for my family, it's like you touched on earlier, John, like they listened to everything you said because you did everything you said you were going to do. And talking about fighting for your kids, I got a funny ABCD camp story. It was the next year, the summer of 2000. We were in the room, me, Daniel, TJ, and Kenny, and we were playing a video game, and Daniel Ewing's phone rings, and a high major coach called. He was at one school. He just retired, actually, a national championship winning coach. He called the room for Daniel Ewing. It was one of Daniel's dream schools. So Daniel answers the phone. So, we can't hear what the coach is saying, but Daniel's like, yes, I want to do it. I would love to. Thank you, coach. And he hangs up. Probably about 10 minutes later, we hear this boom, 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 banging on the door. We're like, yo, who the hell is this? It's Eurey screaming at the top of his lungs. No one talks to my players without me. You like, Daniel Ewing, you're going to Duke. And so, for me at the time, it was one of those things I was looking like, yo, this dude, like, he's crazy. Like, he really, like, loves us and he really wants to take care of us. And, like, at the time, like, I never thought it was overbearing over the top. I thought, yo, this dude, like, he rides for us. He wants the best for us. But it just goes to show, like, the link that, you went, you're for us. And I think that, people across the country saw that, like, whenever the Houston Superstars played, it was a show. And a part of that show was because John Eurey went so hard for us.
Yeah, and I think the reason why I worked that hard, and I'm gonna address something. I think that this needs to be addressed too. And I know because I've had some friction with TJ Ford, in terms of some issues that I haven't been happy with him about, and about him going to Texas. Okay, first and foremost, I wanted the best for all y'all. That's what I want the best for y'all because y'all were good, because I thought we were the best team in the country. So for me, I wanted, the best for everybody. At that particular time, okay, when we had a tournament in Yates, I remember this now so vividly. Kentucky was in there. All right. So I said, what about, TJ Ford, Daniel Ewing playing together? He said, well, we like both of them, but we like Daniel. We like Daniel. Daniel better. I said, Daniel? I said, both of them are really good, the best players in the country. So I was always one to say that, guys, I want guys to be good. I wanted guys to go to whatever level they can get to. That's what I thought about it. And a lot of these schools, Texas is included. Back then, Texas wasn't that good. Now, it worked out great for TJ Ford where he was all everything, and that's great. But at that particular time, it wasn't a great school in terms of basketball because I wanted everybody to be the best, go to the best schools. That's just how I was, so I was very arrogant about that because I just wanted the best for all y'all. And at that particular time, like I told you, TCU, I thought TCU was a great place. Why? Because the late Billy Tubbs told me, he told me to my face at the Final Four, he said, John Eurey, listen to me very carefully. No school in the country is like TCU. He said, one day TCU is going to be special. Why? Because TCU is the only school in the country that has natural gas under it. there will always be billionaires in Fort Worth. Always. And he said one day, he said, it don't look great right now. But he said one day TCU is going to be special. And he was right. So I said what? Corey Valton, Marcus Sloan, go TCU. And get a top quality education.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, I'm an educator. So that's what I thought. So in terms of, TJ Ford, hey, that was just the thing of me wanting him to be great because I thought he was great. I wanted Daniel to be great. That's what I thought. It worked out for him in Texas, and I'm happy about it. But, sometimes you get caught up into, for me, I am all just for my players. I'm just not, I don't get caught up in all of those stuff. I want what's best for them, because if they got a chance to go to a big school and be on national TV, I'm all for it because I knew that TJ wanted to be great. I knew Daniel wanted to be great. I knew you wanted to be great. So that's what was my push, what was my arrogance. And sometimes I make mistakes too. And the thing about I understood that. I understood, where TJ, my mistake. I didn't think Rick Barnes was a great coach, at that time. I didn't. He was great for TJ Ford, and he a really pretty decent coach. But I mean, like I told him, and I've never minced words. How hard is it to coach TJ Ford? It ain't hard to coach him. TJ Ford made you great, and I stand by it. So I mean, because TJ Ford is great, right, and Daniel Ewing was great. So if I think Marcus Sloan is great, that's the way I think. Why? What did we do, Marcus? We played everybody in the country. We played everybody from the East Coast to the West Coast. We played everybody.
We did.
And beat them.
We did. That's fair. Now, Eurey,
we played everybody and beat them.
Speaking about playing on the Adidas circuit, so we graduate class of 2001. That next summer, 2002, you have a big event at Yates High School. Now, at this point, you are one of the top, if not the top, grassroots coach in the country, to the point where Sonny Vaccaro and Adidas brass, Chris Rivers, they make all those teams, Michigan Mustangs and Atlanta Celtics and Alabama Ice, they make all those teams come play in your event in Houston. And then that summer you have LeBron James. So now that summer, instead of at Yates, the summer of 2001, you take your event to Clear Lake High School. Yeah. And at Clear Lake High School, you have a young kid from Akron, Ohio, come play in your event named LeBron James. Talk about that event and talk about where you were.
It was a fantastic event. It was a fantastic event. And I got to give credit to other guys who worked with me. Rick Nelson and Jelon Dez worked with me on the tournament, and we put together a fabulous tournament. And one of the other parents, I can't think of his name at the time, but, he's the one that kind of got those gems for us in Clear Lake and, for a certain price. And it worked out great. I mean, LeBron James I knew Calvin Andrews. Calvin Andrews is an agent with LeBron James, with Rich Paul right now.
Clutch, yeah.
And so Calvin had some really top flight players too, and he had Kendrick Perkins playing for him too. So he said, if you want LeBron, you need to send me a $5,000 check or a cashier's check. And I said, no problem. So I overnighted a $5,000 cashier's check. And at that particular time, let me tell you some more facts about that you probably don't know about. At that time, I was dealing with, obviously I was very, very good friends with Dave Bliss. Mm-hmm. And Dave Bliss, who spoke at my coaching clinic that year, was really good, and was encouraging me to be, to get other coaches involved with it. And I got other coaches involved with my clinic, and it turned out great. So we did a coaches clinic, we did a tournament. It was great. And LeBron James had his mother in there. It was great.
And at this time, like I said, you were one of the big dogs like in the country. I remember you put together back then when I was in college. Colleges can play preseason games called exhibition games versus pros and former college players, and you were putting together exhibition games to play against college teams. You were kind of like doing really well doing that, having guys play, other teams and other universities in Texas, Baylor, TCU, A&M, all over the country. Actually, you were putting together these events. Again, you were at the pinnacle. Like you were a top dog in the game at that time.
Yeah, I was, and I think that we had an exhibition team, and we wasn't doing anything that the pump and run wasn't doing, and other people were doing around the country. I mean, I had a lot of ex-players, and we went and played against, a lot of good college teams, and we gave them a run for their money. As a matter of fact, Byron Smith, who's the coach at Prairie View A&M, coached my players. Mm-hmm. And he did a really good job, and I paid him too. So he got he really got them guys to play hard. Corey Henderson, Chuck Henderson, and a lot of old ex-college players, and we did a really good job, and we went and played quite a few schools. So it was a really good thing back then. It was a really decent amount of pay for one night's work, and at that particular time, that's when I knew college basketball was a really big business. It was big business.
And go ahead.
And I just thought, hey, if I'm doing everything the right way and legal, why not be a part of it?
And now, Eurey, talk about, again, going back to you being on top. At what point in your eyes did it kind of turn for you in Adidas basketball? Again, man, like I was in college. Hold on. Let me tell you this. I was in college, and I'll never forget. I was on the internet on ESPN.com, and I was reading an article. They were talking about summer basketball. This was the summer of 2003 now. And like they listed Eurey had a tournament called the Texas Classic, Adidas Texas Classic. And like they listed that as one of the best tournaments in the country. And they had a list of teams from all over the country who played in the event. And then, obviously I graduated college. I kind of not lost track of, or didn't keep in touch with Eurey, but I was growing up doing my thing. And then all of a sudden I heard that Eurey wasn't with Adidas anymore. And I was kind of shocked because I'm thinking to myself, like, this dude was the dude on Adidas. I mean, anywhere we went, the Houston Superstars got big-time treatment. I tell people this to this day, and I make them laugh. My dad died in 2013. And he was still wearing Adidas velour sweatsuits in 2012 that I got in 2000. Like, that's how much stuff I would get big, like 4x6 boxes shipped to my house from Adidas, and Chris Rivers, handwritten notes. The Houston Superstars were one of the better. I mean, again, John Eurey he had the juice. And so then to see that on the internet, and then like the summer of 04, 05, 06, kind of someone was like, yeah, Eurey doesn't have the Adidas deal anymore. Now I knew that, Chris Rivers left Adidas and went to Reebok. It was a split with Sonny and them, but to find out you didn't have that deal anymore was kind of a shock. So talk about like that period for the Houston Superstars.
Well, that was the deal. Okay, first of all, we were in Chicago, and Sonny had a meeting with every Adidas rep. Mm-hmm. Adidas turned down LeBron James, mm-hmm. and Sonny gave LeBron James' mother his word that he was going to get $100 million from Adidas. Adidas said, no, we don't think that a high school kid is worth $100 million. Mm-hmm. Sonny came downstairs. All the reps were in there and saying, I exercised a clause in my contract to leave Adidas. Mm. So he left us all out there without a pattern. And I understand, his loyalty to LeBron James, that type of thing. But you're talking about, we were the most powerful group in the country. We had all the players. Indeed. Every year. We killed Nike every year. We had all the players. We had the events. We had all the coaches. And I just thought, it was because we had so many good players and we had so many great coaches, AAU coaches, that were always going to get players. We may not have gotten another LeBron, but we were going to get somebody close to it. Because we did every year. We got Tracy McGrady, we got Kobe Bryant, on and on and on and on. We got every year somebody came to ABCD and turned it out. And, Rashard Lewis. When I took Rashard Lewis to ABCD, Rashard Lewis go from basically a no-name to basically no one player in the country. So it's always every year ABCD is going to produce a top player that's going to be an NBA draft lottery pick. So, but when he left us, it left me. So then Darren Kalish, got the job. He was good friends with Chris, Chris that lives here. And he basically, when my contract was up, he gave it to Chris, and that was the end of it. And I didn't have a great relationship with Darren Kalish. So, that was the end of it. So I kind of went independent, which was okay too, because after that, I still had so many good players. Jimmy Butler came after that. Raymond Penn came after that. Kirk Van Slyke came after that. I had so many good players. Let's speak on the Jimmy
Butler. So you see Jimmy Butler. A lot of people don't know Jimmy Butler is from Houston, played at Tomball High School. Obviously, I've heard the story from you and just from other college coaches, but they said that when he played for you, nobody would take Jimmy Butler. Nobody wanted to bite on Jimmy Butler.
Nobody wanted him. We won the Gasso. We won that. Blue and those guys, Sam and those guys laugh at it to this day. We won the Gasso. I'll never forget it. We won the Gasso in the drum. Remember the North Texas? They got a thing called, the drum.
No, not the drum. It was called the Super Pit.
The Super Pit. I'm sorry, my bad. The Super Pit, yeah. And we won the Gasso in the Super Pit. That was the day that I can't think of the guy. He coaches here, and they got into that big fight, and somebody came and hit him. I can't think of his name. He's an Omega Psi Phi. I can't think of his name. Good dude. He got hit. They got into that big fight with that Dallas team.
And so
then we ended up
with Jimmy Butler. When you say no one would take him, you mean like no one would recruit him? He's playing for the Houston Superstars.
Nobody wanted him because he wasn't fancy. We had a really good team back then. You think about it. We had Raymond Penn. We had the kid Kendrick out of San Antonio. He was basically leading scorer in the state. We had Kendrick. We had Kirk Van Slyke. We had some really good players on that team. We had what's the big kid went up to St. Peter's? We had him. We had some really, really good players back then. And the thing about it is that what about Jimmy? Nah, Eurey, we don't think he's good enough. Nah. And then we were at Texas A&M in the locker room. Oh, Eurey, we don't think he's good enough. And the rest is history. So I hate that Jimmy didn't go. But it wasn't. Obviously, God had a different timetable for Jimmy. It motivated Jimmy, and the rest is history. Now he's almost a $300 million dude. So but nobody wanted him. No, but that's Houston, Texas. That's the reason why I fight for Houston, Texas, because Houston got so many good players that don't get the spotlight, that don't get this, that don't get that, and they turn out to be good players. So I just can't give Dallas the edge over Houston because I know Houston, and I know Houston has really, really good players all over the city. Now, are they all going to play for the top teams? Absolutely not. But there's always a good player out there somewhere that deserves his flowers, but they're not going to get it because the city is so big. And it's only one Marcus Sloan. There's only one Jimmy Hicks, which really Jimmy don't really write about guys no more. It's mostly Doug, and I write about kids. So after that, it ain't that many kids can cover the whole city and can really write about all of the real talent that's in Houston. And so every year, somebody in Houston is going to get overlooked.
And so you feel like kids get overlooked because the city's so big, correct?
It's too big. You can't cover it. Think about this. Look at all the writers that are in Dallas. Paul Biancardi's in Dallas. Gasso is in Dallas. Paul Miranda's in Dallas. Buff is in Dallas. That's 4 right there. 24/7 Sports is in Dallas. And a host of all kind of other writers are in Dallas. So what are they going to do? They're going to write about Dallas kids. It's like 6 or 7, 8 different people writing about the same kids. And so they're going to pump them kids in Dallas. Or them kids are not going to probably play in their event. So you can't – and Harris County is bigger than Dallas County. So think about it. They got all them dudes, and Blue and them give a tournament, seem like every week. Dude, they going to cover all them dudes. And they going to put them dudes on the forefront if they're good.
And so is it a thing, Eurey, where it's not enough quality writers in Houston, or
that's correct?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
It need to be probably about 15 guys to cover this city. Think about it, Marcus. You got Katy, you got HISD, you got North Houston, you got East Houston, you got West Houston, a lot of schools. You got Beaumont, you got North Shore, all them schools out there. You got, you got Pearland. You got all them schools past Pearland and Alvin ISD. And do you realize how many schools that is?
It's a lot.
That's a lot of schools. You can't cover them all.
It's a lot.
You can't.
It's a lot.
You know, and so I give you a prime example. I can't think of the little white kid's name. He's out there at that school on the other side of Crosby. What is that school name? God, I can't think of his name.
Right now?
But anyway, he's there right now. I think he's a senior. He played for, I think, either somebody. I saw him somewhere. I saw him a couple weeks ago. He's a really, really good player. Now, when he played against P.J. Haggerty, P.J. embarrassed him, because he started talking. So P.J. embarrassed him. But I saw him another day. He's a really good player, and ain't nobody talking about him. Nobody. Ain't nobody talking about him. The kid can hoop. Mm-hmm. He was up there at one of them camps. That dude can hoop. Ain't nobody talking about him. That's another one. And then I'm gonna tell you, the other little kid that's out there at there's another little kid too. It's just so many, man. It's so many kids that don't get talked about. And Marcus can't cover the whole city. John Eurey can't cover the whole city. Doug lives in Beaumont. So that's 3 writers right there. So Jimmy don't really do writing. He does his show. So who's going to write about all these kids?
Right.
You can't cover them. You can't. So some kid is going to get overlooked, and some kid is just not going to make it.
And now, Eurey, with you having your own AAU team, AAU program, and you and you writing guys and writing reports, what do you say to people who might say Eurey's report might be biased towards his own kids?
Well, but Marcus, one thing that you learn from me playing for me, I'm fair. If you're good enough, you're good enough. You ain't good enough, you ain't good enough. And I tell my own players that. If you're good enough, you're good enough. You ain't good enough, I'm sometimes people don't like that honesty, but if you ain't good enough, you ain't good enough. I tell my own players that. If you ain't good, I told the kid from Eisenhower, I said, look, when he first started playing with me,
Keelan Dorsey,
his father would tell you, Keelan Dorsey. I said, look, when he first, I said, Keelan, you can't dunk everything. Sometimes you got to do a layup. You're not playing the right way. Just listen to what I'm telling you. And if you do what I tell you to do, you're going to be a star. When he start listening, let me tell you something. Keelan Dorsey is going to play in the NBA. You can put it in the book. He's that good. He can shoot it. He's tough. He dunks everything. He lays, and he blocks your shot, too. He a lockdown defender. He is the real deal. But you know what? Ain't nobody really talking about him like that. Now, he got offers out on the table. But I'm telling you, it's kids like him that are right there on the cusp of can play with anybody in the country. He's physical. He's athletic. He's fast. Kids like that. I'm going to talk about him. Because he done turned the corner. And he's really, really, really good. Angel Sanye. I hate the fact that he chose to go up there to Red Rock in Vegas. But a lot of people, when it come down to short guards at 6 foot, a lot of these colleges say, well, I can go get a Portal kid. Instead of a 6 foot guard high school, I can go get a Portal kid. Well, Angel Sanye is the real deal. Mm-hmm. He killed everybody. But a lot of people don't want a 6 foot guard. But he's the real deal. So I'm going to talk about people who have earned it. And Angel Sanye is the real deal. I hate the fact that he left, Maid Creek, but he did that on his own. Because think about it, Marcus. Think about it. Angel Sanye has been around nothing but Division I players. P.J. Haggerty, Mason Docks, Sean Elkins is going to
Dallas
the Division
Baptist.
II school.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Him. He's been around. Everybody on our team going to college. So the kid wants to go to college too. So, what can I say? He did something on his own to improve himself. because he wants to live that dream of going to college. I hate the fact that he left Fob, because I think Fob would have had a hell of a team.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing about it, I can't hate the kid, but because he's making a choice for himself, and one of the things, he's depending on himself to make it, and that's a great thing. I hate that he didn't go to Fob because I thought they would be a really hell of a good team, and Fob did a really good job with him ever since he's been there at May Creek. But the kid wants to be great. He's been around P.J. Haggerty and Mason Dox, man. Them dudes are big time dudes
for sure. No,
and he's around Jared Harris. And Keelan Dorsey. Come on, man. He understands that he wants to be great too, and I want him to be great, and I think great things gonna happen to him because those guys on the West Coast don't play downhill like that. They don't play downhill like that, and he's gonna get something.
Now, Eurey, what can you say to people? Because I've been guilty of this. Right now in the space I'm in, I feel like, not that it's a young man's game, but I feel like there needs to be a shift in the culture. There needs to be a changing of the guard, right? Not just speaking about grassroots coaches, but just in general in the grassroots basketball space. What do you say to people who may say that John Eurey is past his prime, John Eurey is bad for the city of Houston, state of Texas, John Eurey is bad for the game of basketball with the way he goes about his business, with the way he fights for his kids? What do you say to that?
Well, I don't think that I'm bad for basketball. I think that I'm great for basketball because I'm truthfully honest, and my method may be a little different. It might be a little brash, but I don't hate nobody else if they do good. I'm only helping my team. I'm helping my guys. I'm helping the guys that play for John Eurey. I don't help nobody else guys. And I know a lot of them other parents come up to me and want me to write about their kids. I'm not doing it. You don't play for me. Won't you go to the coach that you play for? You chose to play for them. Go let him write about you. But them other coaches don't write about their kids. They don't fight for their kids. They might do some things for their kids, but they don't fight for their kids the same level as I do. And I'm going to tell you this, too. This is a big part of this college recruiting business, too. You got to know coaches.
Correct.
You got to know people. You got to know people from the East Coast to the West Coast. I know people from all the way from Philly to past Philly to Maine, because you remember I had Cody Augustus up there at Maine Central. I know coaches up there. I know coaches at Pacific. I know coaches everywhere. And when they ask me, I'm painfully honest with them. And I tell them if a guy can play, they're gonna take my call. Just like Mark Few the other day. Mark Few called me back. When I called him, he called me back. I said, I got Jared Harris. He said, if Jared Harris want to play fast, come to Gonzaga. And so, for me, that was music to my ears. Why? Because Jared Harris is a fast player. And I know Jared Harris is that good. So the thing about it is that, I know guys. I've been knowing these guys for years. I've been knowing some of these guys. They were assistant coaches when I was in the business. Now they're head coaches. Mm-hmm. So, basketball, it's also about relationships. And fortunately, I just have more relationships than everybody else. So, I can call University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and they're going to take my dude. I can call, because I'm not going to lie to him, I can call Bruce Pearl when Bruce Pearl didn't even have a job. Yeah, I knew Bruce Pearl when he didn't have a job. So, I've been knowing these people for years. And so, my thing is that I'm going to fight for my kids, but I'm going to help my kids go to college. And that's what it's all about. And but now, are we turning the corner? We need to change this paradigm where people think, well, John Eurey is an arrogant guy. Look, I done reached out and said, look, let's work together. Yeah. Let's work together. Let me help you. For me, give you a prime example. Let's give you a prime example. Mm-hmm. Texas Takeover. Yep. Texas Takeover, pretty decent program. Guy Ned, he does a good job. Only problem is he don't know nobody. He don't know no coaches like that. He got some good players though. So the thing about it, should I be able to help Ned? Yeah, I don't mind helping him because he's helping somebody else's kid. So the thing about it, and I went to him and told him that. I said, look, man, let's work together. Maybe we can get these kids. If I can help a kid go to college, I'm doing God's work. And I think that's more important than anything for me to do God's work. And that's just how I'm gonna stand on that. And whatever, by any means necessary, I'm gonna go out to help kids work. And that's the way I'm gonna do it.
John,
because think about it. Duban Maneki went to play for everybody. With his crazy father, who I love, who's my dude, who played at Texas, Gabe Maneki, played at Texas.
Yep.
Okay. His son went to JL3. He went here. He went there. He went to all the programs. He didn't leave no program when he came to John Eurey. He didn't leave no program when he came to John Eurey because what? We coached him and we treated him right and we treated him like he's somebody. Now he's at Abilene Christian, Division I. So as far as Gabe and I, we good. What? Why? Because I helped his son go D1 and I was a man of my word. So and for my relationship with Duban is super. Why? Because I gave him a forum with two of the best guards in the country, and we won everywhere. So and I was nothing but fair. Now, some kids like Sean Elkington, who got overlooked, who killed everybody. But people looked at, he a white kid. He don't jump high.
Real quick, I'm sorry. I said Sean Elkington went to Dallas Baptist. He actually is at St. Edward's University.
St. Edward's.
Austin.
And the thing about it, people are like, and this is how people think. And I'm going to keep it brutally honest. Sometimes these coaches, and this coach told me at the Final Four, he said, Eurey, a coach don't pay me to recruit white boys. They pay me to recruit black kids. And he said, that's the honest truth. And I said, okay. So I was good with it. But kids like Sean Elkington, who is really, really good, and he played great for us. And he's a great kid. He's going to be a big-time player.
Yes,
he's going to be a big-time player at
St. Edward's.
St. Edward's. He's going to be a big-time dude.
John Eurey, do you feel like you are still at the top of your game? Do you feel like you are one of the best grassroots coaches currently in the state of Texas?
I think I'm the best in Texas. I'm probably, if I ain't the best in Texas, I'm probably the best in the country. I'm sending kids to college with no funding. Let's examine last year. Austin Page, the kid up there at Episcopal. I sent him. He came to my school. He's at Dallas, University of Dallas. Avant Coleman at Harcum, Philly. Jackson Fields, Troy, who played for the Houston Hoops, played for Elkins High School, has 0 offers, come to John Eurey. In a month, he get an offer from Troy.
So, John Eurey, you are the best grassroots guy in Texas, grassroots coach in Texas.
I'm the best grassroots guy in the country.
In the country. Talk that talk.
I'm getting kids in college with no money.
And when you say no money, and when you say no money, you mean
is to help kids go to college.
When you say no money, you mean that you are not getting any funding from a shoe company or any.
No.
Yeah.
What money?
And so if someone were to give John Eurey a deal, one of the shoe companies, you would change the game basically, or go back to where you were when you were one of the top.
Go back.
Coaches.
I'll probably go back to the same #1 in the country because I was right there with Curtis and. Sonny knew that. Sonny knew that I was right there with Curtis Malone. Curtis Malone had some good players. I was right there with Wallace Prather. And think about Wallace Prather, what he did.
Atlanta Celtics, Wallace Prather.
Wallace Prather, we go to their tournament. Tyrone Nelson scored 45 in this semifinal game. What does he do? Wallace Prather paid, what's the kid guy's name? The guy played in the NBA for a long time.
Not Dwight Howard.
No, he played for Phoenix for a long time. He played, what's his name?
Amari Stoudemire?
He paid Amari Stoudemire's guy $10,000 to beat us in the championship.
Mm-hmm.
That's a real story. Richard Law was there. He paid $10,000. And Antonio Nuttall was on that team, too.
Mm-hmm.
$10,000 to beat us. That's how good we were. And think about it. Think about guys like Brandon Johnson. Brandon Johnson, nobody wanted him. He goes to little bitty San Diego, beat Gonzaga, on national TV, beat UConn on national TV, beat Kentucky on national TV. Nobody in Texas wanted him. And I begged Rice to take him because he had the grade to get in Rice. I begged them to take him. They didn't think he was good enough. But he goes to San Diego, and the rest is history. So, I mean, you know, I'm doing my job, man. I'm just doing the job to help kids. And you know, the Bible says, as a man thinketh, so is he. I just think I'm great in this AAU space. And I don't think anybody's better than me. Because the thing about it, I know the business, I know the game, and the thing about it is I'm going to do the best I can. And I'm not going to pull no punches. I'm not going to shortchange it. I'm not going to cut no corners. I'm going to do it the hard way. And I'm going to do it the way that's necessary, that's pleasing to God and pleasing to my eyes, that's good enough to play Division I college basketball. And that's just the way I'm going to do it. And right now we got this guy like Tamir. Tamir is coaching my guys, assistant coach out there at
Katie Jordan now.
Katie Jordan, one of the best basketball minds in the country.
He's a good
one
dude.
of the best in the country.
He is a good
Sharp,
dude. Yep.
he's smart,
Yep.
he knows the game. And the thing about it is that, I mean, eventually he's probably going to get a college job, because I know people and I'm going to help him get a college job because he knows me and I know coaches. So the thing about it is that, I mean, I'm going to do the best I can, Marcus, with what I got. And I've been trying to, and for years, Marcus, because I mean, it seems as though you and I had some, but the thing about it, Marcus, at the end of the day, you love kids just like I do. I understand you doing the business trying to make some money, but at the end of the day, we love kids.
Correct.
We want to help kids. Correct. And the thing about it is, one of the things I loved about Lee Sloan that nobody knew about this, I loved about Lee Sloan. He said, John Eurey, I love kids. I want to help any kid I can. I want to do it. And that's what made me love Lee Sloan because he loved Marcus, my son Marcus. And I said, hey, man, sometimes I said, I know you love Marcus. I said, I'm going to do the best I can because it was Lee Sloan. We drove 25 hours to Chicago.
16 hours in the van. I'll never forget that. It was
in the van
hours.
to Chicago.
Yes.
Your dad was there. The thing about it, why would somebody drive all the way to Chicago to play in a tournament? Why? Because I wanted to play against one of the best teams, the great Mac Irvin, Mac Irvin Fire. And we lost in the championship.
We did.
So the thing about it is that, but when we lost in the championship, what happened? Mac Irvin went and told everybody in the country, John Eurey got dudes. Yeah. That was my whole purpose. And he said, John Eurey got some of the best players in the country. It ain't even close. What happened? All them people started recruiting John Eurey dudes. Because we took on all comers. And that's what we do now, Marcus. We ain't afraid to play anybody. Yeah. I put it out there the other day. I want Mocan Elite. I want Southern Assault. I want to play against Trey Johnson. I want him because I know one thing. You ain't going to cheat them Houston Superstars now. You ain't going to cheat us. You're going to play hard against us. And I'm going to tell you, Trey Johnson, he play against us. He better come on with it if he's the number one player. Because if he off that day, he going to lose. Because I'm going to tell you this too. See, Jimmy Hicks tried to pull that stunt too. Oh, Eurey, he called me the night before the game. Oh, Eurey, won't you take some of these seniors? You're going to need some of the seniors. I gave you all these EYBL teams. I said, Jimmy, I ain't worried about this. I said, I ain't worried. You don't realize what I got. Yeah. So when we played Blake Griffin Elite, what do? Destroyed them. What do we do to live on? Destroyed them. What do we do to Dallas Seawolves with the 7-footer? Destroyed them. So I want to play. It's good for basketball.
Correct.
If Trey Johnson is that dude, he got to prove it every time he steps in between that rectangle. And when he played them Houston Superstars, he better be ready.
Now,
I promise you, because he's going to play that game.
So with in Sloan Cold Facts, we're gonna, and for the show, we're gonna always end the show with 5 Sloan Cold Facts. So for you, Eurey, I need the 5 best players you've ever coached in the Houston Superstars program.
C.J. Ford.
Okay, 1.
Jimmy Butler.
2.
Joe Young.
3. It's a pretty good list so far.
P.J. Haggerty.
4.
Did I say Dan Ewing?
You did not say Dan Ewing.
Dan Ewing.
Damn, you and fathers.
And and Jared will be there too. Jared will be there too.
Okay.
But Jared only played this was Jared's first year playing 17U. He sat on the bench for 3 years for the Houston Hoops. So now, but by next year, everybody gonna see Jared Harris. He played 3 tournaments in Houston. 3 tournaments. 3 shootouts, I think. I think Coach Siegler sent me the other day. He played 3 tournaments in Houston. So y'all gonna see the Jared Harris show. You better go watch him. You better go get that ticket because that ticket is rolling. And I'm gonna tell you this right now. Jared Harris got 25 high major offers. About 25. And the thing about it is that more are coming. Somebody go offer him tonight. So look here. So I'm telling you right now, you better catch the Jared Harris show while you got a chance, while it's free, because one day you're going to pay to see Jared Harris play. One day you're going to pay to see him play.
First and foremost, again, man, I thank you for what you've done for me in my life.
Appreciate you.
As a young man and helping me get to college and put me on a platform. I appreciate that. I also appreciate you for being the first guest of Sloan Cold Facts. John Eurey, thank you so much.
Appreciate you.
All right, John. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Guys, there you have it. First episode of Sloan Cold Facts. We had the incomparable John Eurey, a.k.a. the Godfather of grassroots basketball. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, it's Marcus Sloan, your host of Sloan Cold Facts. I'm signing off.